If you have your Bibles with you, I encourage you to open to the letter to the Philippians. We'll be taking a brief detour from Genesis this morning to the short little letter in Philippians. We'll be in Philippians chapter 1, verse 27, and chapter 2, verse 4. You can find that on the Pew Bible in front of you on page 1248. If you don't have a Bible, we encourage you to take that Bible home with you. Read it. That's God's Word to us. That's how we know anything about Him. It's through His Word, His revelation. We'll be in Philippians chapter 1, verse 27 through chapter 2, verse 4. And just before we read the passage, I'm going to just give a short, brief context. We've had our minds kind of in the world of Genesis for a minute. I'll fast forward to this small little church in Philippi. A small church that wants to know what happened to their dear friend Paul. He was a missionary there, told them about Jesus. They've heard that he's in prison now. They've heard that he's suffering opposition. They want to know what's going on with him. So Paul writes this letter to encourage them that the gospel is going forth, even though he's in prison. And he doesn't know if he's going to live or if he's going to die. And he tells them that if I do die, I will be with Jesus. And that is a good thing. And he writes to encourage them. So after he tells them about his situation, he turns to their situation and he provides this exhortation we'll see this morning in our text. So let's go ahead and read that now. Philippians chapter 1, verse 27. Paul says this: "Only let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel of Christ, so that whether I come and see you or am absent, I may hear of you, that you are standing firm in one spirit, with one mind, striving side by side for the faith of the gospel, and not frightened in anything by your opponents. This is a clear sign to them of their destruction, but of your salvation, and that from God. For it has been granted to you that for the sake of Christ you should not only believe in him, but also suffer for his sake, engaged in the same conflict that you saw I had, and now hear that I still have. So, if there is any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." Let's pray and ask the Lord's help. Holy Spirit, please come now. Illuminate our hearts and our minds. Help us to love and treasure Christ above all else. Help us to have gospel unity through gospel humility. Be doing this for the glory of Christ. Amen. Well, if you're a parent out there, you probably know what it's like to tell your child to clean up the room or pick up their toys, and their response is a very blunt and simple, "I don't want to." To which every parent then replies, "I'm sorry, what?" Let's try that again. Clean the room, right? You don't need to be a parent of a small child to know that everyone has their own desires, their own interests, their own agenda that they're wanting to fulfill, their to-do list. For that child is to just simply continue playing with his toys, uninterrupted by the parent. The question that we need to ask is, what are you going to do when your interests, when your desires rub up against somebody else's interests and desires that are different than yours? What are you going to do when you want to spend Saturday morning out in your flower garden and your spouse wants to spend it on the couch drinking coffee, just talking? Or what are you going to do Monday morning when a coworker of yours that's maybe a little annoying and kind of boring, frankly, asks you to go out, grab a bite to eat for lunch? You know, pull out that Rolodex of excuses like George and Jerry, right? Trying to find a good excuse for them. What are you going to do when you're asked by somebody in the church to serve in a capacity that you may not really want to, or it's kind of uncomfortable out of your comfort zone, but you really know that it's needed and you need to do it? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when your interests, your desires, your agenda, your to-do list rubs up and is contrary to somebody else? How are you going to respond, particularly in our church? The Philippians were no different from us in that respect. They had their own desires, they had their own interests, they had their own wants. They were obviously in a different context than we are, right? They were in a context of opposition. The Greek and the Roman culture, they were greatly disturbed by the gospel. It disrupted their way of life. When Paul came there with the floodlight of the gospel, it transformed some people. It transformed some people, but it made others really, really angry. There was Lydia who sold purple goods. There was a slave girl that could foretell the future. She was transformed by the gospel. There was a jailer who was about to commit suicide. He was transformed by the gospel. But there were those who were not so enthusiastic about the gospel. They did not appreciate these Christians proclaiming Christ in Philippi. Paul's encouraging them. He's writing to encourage them to foster gospel unity through gospel humility. That's how we're to respond to their situation. That's how we are to respond in our situation. Whenever there's antagonism or drama inside the church or opposition from outside the church, our response is the same as theirs. And that's gospel gospel unity through gospel humility. So let's walk through this text and kind of see how Paul does that, how Paul encourages them to maintain this gospel unity through gospel humility. Starting verse 27, it says this: only let your manner of life be worthy of the gospel. We might be tempted to think by that translation that somehow we have to earn, or we have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps or polish ourselves up a bit to be worthy to receive the gospel. That's not at all what Paul's saying. We know that's opposite the gospel. The gospel tells us that we're not good, that we need grace. No one is worthy of the gospel. That's good. That's what Paul's not saying in verse 29. He says that both salvation and the suffering we're experiencing are both gracious gifts from the Lord. Gospel is sweet, good news, and nobody earns it. It works themselves up so they're worthy to receive it. Some of our Bibles might translate that this way, verse 27, to live as citizens of heaven, live your life worthy. As citizens of heaven, live your life worthy. 58 years ago, a very historic speech was given on the east portico of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. That speech was delivered by JFK. And some of you might have actually seen this televised. And it was actually, I think, the first televised inaugural address in color. And you can actually go online and watch it. It's pretty fascinating. You can go and just Google it and find it and watch it. And in this speech, he harkens back to this ancient idea of citizenship. And we all understand this on some level. And it's this: as a citizen, you have both great privileges and great responsibility. The president appeals to the citizens of America to ask not what your country can do for you, right? Ask what you can do for your country. You remember that? But he goes on to continue his speech, and he says to the whole world, he says this. He says, my fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of mankind. The president and a large number of Americans resonate with this ancient sentiment that as citizens of the kingdom of man, kingdom of this world, we have enormous privileges, particularly in the U.S., and we have enormous responsibility, don't we? We often talk about our civic responsibility, our civic duties, like go out and vote, things like that, get involved maybe in politics or in culture. We know that intrinsically it's not right for citizens of a free world or a free nation to just kind of sit on the couch, sitting on a duck, and not do anything. We know that somehow that's wrong. We're called to act, to do something. Not many of us understand what it's like to be a citizen of one country and then apply for citizenship to go to another country. It's a process. And when you're doing that in America, the process of becoming a citizen, you actually have to take an oath. You take an oath of allegiance and or renunciation of allegiance to all others. There's an understanding that you're going to act in such a way as to promote the interests of America. In the Philippians, they shared this kind of idea, this sentiment of citizenship. They were a Roman colony. They were granted citizenship. They prided themselves on their status as being kind of a colony of Rome, a little Rome, so to speak. They were an outpost of the Roman Empire. And so what Paul is saying in our opening verses is that we are to live as citizens of heaven in such a way as becoming of the gospel. And so as citizens of the gospel of Christ, we don't just sit on the couch. We don't sit on our duff. We act, right? We work out our salvation, as Paul says later in the verse, later in the letter. We're not saved by works. We're saved by grace. That grace and that new allegiance to Christ demands a new behavior, a new ethic, a new kingdom ethic. And it's as follows, as we see clearly in our passage, that gospel unity through gospel humility. Verse 27, he says that he wants to hear of them standing firm in one spirit and with one mind striving side by side for the faith of the gospel and not frightened in anything by their opponents. I'm no rugby fan or know much even about the sport. I've seen like a TV team football, right? But there is something very iconic in that sport. And you might have seen this. It's called a scrum. S-C-R-U-M, a scrum. And it's when the players on either team, they form this massive formation. There's 3 in the front, 2 in the center, and 3 in the back. And they all crouch down and lock their arms, and they all get this massive formation, 8 of them, and then 8 on the other team. And they crouch down. And the idea is they have to gain possession of the ball. In order to do that, though, they all need to push as one unit the other team away from the ball. And then there's a person in the front that needs to pick the ball and bring it back so they can grab the ball and gain possession of it. It would be very strange and very humorous if one of the players, while they're in that scrum, stood up in the middle of it and said, I kind of don't like being in the back. Can I actually be in the front, please? Or if another player stood up while he's in the middle of this scrum and said, I think we probably should have worn blue jerseys instead of grays for this game. I mean, the defeat would be certain, right? Actually, I think there are rules against that because you can actually hurt somebody if you stand up in the middle of it. But at any rate, we know that to stand up in the middle of that battle, that engagement, and issue some kind of complaint or nitpick somebody or something that's trivial would issue defeat or a broken spine, I guess. Are you a member of a quote-unquote gospel scrum? Many people in our community, and really all over America, see no need at all to be part of the gospel scrum, be engaged in unity, to fight the good fight. They prefer to maybe go at it alone. They prefer to stand firm in their own spirit, strive all by themselves against opposition to their faith. The true Christian knows it's a very dangerous place to be, isn't it? The true Christian knows that to fight the good fight, to run the race, it is not a solo project. You can't go at it alone. Regularly gathering with the saints, meaningful church membership where we are known and held accountable by other believers, those are very desirable things for a Christian that's seeking to love the Lord. It's nearly impossible to participate in the kind of unity that Paul's talking about in our passage if you're not letting other believers know you, or you're not other believers, or you're just absent in the lives of other believers. Perhaps maybe you are a member of a local church, this church even, and you do know people. You are investing yourself in their lives, but you sense maybe some kind of disunity in your heart against a brother or sister. Do we see our brothers and sisters in the church and in the Lord as just that, as brothers and sisters, or maybe an enemy? Do you kind of maybe secretly wish that somebody would just go to a different church or maybe just attend elsewhere? Or do we see others in our church as one we would lock arms with for the sake of the gospel? It's easy for us to do that with folks we agree with, right? We have the same philosophy of ministry, we get along, we have the same personality. But what about it when it's somebody we don't really care for or we have disagreements with? Can you lock arms with another believer you disagree with for the sake of the gospel? Can I lock arms with somebody I disagree with for the sake of the gospel? You can, I can. By God's grace, right? He empowers us by His Spirit to do it. Thanks, Carl. Are we willing to stand firm in one spirit and one mind, willing to put those preferences aside for the sake of the gospel? The way that we respond to disunity in the face of any opposition will be a sign to the outside world. The world is looking at us. The world is looking to see what we're going to do. We see that sign in verse 28. You know, when the leaves, they start to turn in the fall. That is a clear sign that the oppression of summer heat is coming to an end. Right? But that same sign is also a sign of destruction for school kids going back to school. It's back to school time for some kids. For some of us, it's a sign of destruction, but others, it's a sign of joy that it's going to be fall. It's going to be 60 degrees instead of 98 degrees. That same sign looked at two different ways. For one, it's salvation. For one, it's destruction. It's difficult for us to really understand the kind of suffering that Paul is talking about in the passage. Perhaps the reason we don't experience any kind of suffering or opposition for the gospel is because maybe we don't share it, or if we do share it, it's not explicit. Maybe the light of the gospel is kind of dimmed in some way, like a red or a headlamp on red light mode. When you go backpacking or camping, it's really helpful to have a light source, particularly a lot, illumines as bright as possible. But it's also helpful to have a headlamp that has what's called red light mode, where you can just simply turn it and it's a really dim red light, so you don't wake up your friends sleeping or disturbs the camp. You don't blind somebody when you're talking to them. Sometimes I think we walk around with gospel headlamps that are on red light mode, where the light of the gospel is not blaring. We talk about the gospel, but it's in ways that's palatable. It's ways that people don't come face to face with the reality that they need to die in order to follow Jesus. We don't call people to repent and believe. We tell them all about the privileges of being part of the kingdom, but maybe none of the responsibilities. Perhaps our gospel witness is not very vocal, and it doesn't bother anyone because there's no clear call to respond to the gospel. I know I'm tempted to maybe not get too aggressive with my faith or with the gospel. It's just easier to not be very bold and to keep my gospel headlamp on red light mode, so to speak, because I'm afraid of what the person might say or think of me. One time we were going out for Go Teams. Go Teams is our outreach. Every first 2 Sundays of every month we try and go out and we seek to visit homebound members and rub shoulders with people in the community. And one of the main things that we simply seek to do is just go tell people about Jesus, knocking on doors. Anyway, one time, going out on our go-to, it was like a regular night, and there was this lady sitting on the front porch of her house, and she was on the cell phone talking, and I'm walking around with some flyers, inviting her to buy something at worship or something. She says, I don't want any of that religious stuff, you just keep on walking. So I just, kind of startled by it, and just kind of waved and smiled and said, okay, let's keep on walking. And about 5 to 10 minutes later, she comes around the corner, and kind of almost angrily, I was a little taken aback, but she says, what religion are you? So I simply just started sharing the gospel at that point, so I just started telling her about God and mankind and sin and Christ. And when I start talking about Christ dying for us, she's like, oh, I know. Well, what religion are you? A Baptist or Presbyterian? And I said, I'm a Baptist. I go to the Baptist church. She said, oh. And she just walked away. Content with that info, I guess. I don't know what she was thinking. I thought maybe as I walked away that she thought maybe I was maybe a Muslim because I was brown, had like stuffy meat or something. But at any rate, I realized very quickly from that interaction that even here in Palmyra, you might experience some kind of opposition. As wise as it may be, some strange lady yelling at you, or a door slamming in your face, or maybe you getting teased for going out and sharing the gospel, being ridiculed, right? But that's incredibly light compared to some of the opposition suffered all over the world for the gospel. You never know what's going to happen on your go-teams. That's quite the truth. But Lydia in Philippi, she probably lost her job or lost a lot of clients. She was selling purple items to people in Philippi. She became a Christian. She lost a lot of clients because of that. The slave girl, probably after she was exorcising that demon, is probably homeless now. The Philippian jailer who was about to commit suicide, and there was that earthquake, he more than likely lost his job. Here's one real life example. There are plenty of brothers and sisters all over the world that are being jailed, maimed, burned, publicly ridiculed, and marginalized for simply being a Christ follower. Here's one real life example of two Christian brothers who are doing exactly what we would have done on a go-team visit. This is from Voice of Martyr. If you're not familiar with that, it's a really helpful resource about persecuted Christians. Two Christian men were imprisoned in February for distributing gospel tracts on the island of Sumatra. Andre Sarno and Bintang Sirate distributed several copies of a booklet about Jesus Christ in a Muslim-majority region near their home in Jambai City, something Andreas has done regularly since his partial retirement 5 years ago. As the two men took a coffee break, several young men confronted them and told them the booklets were heretical. Members of the radical Muslim group then came and took them to a police station where they were interrogated and detained for 20 days before being transferred to prison. Voice of Martyr tells us to please pray for these men and their families and pray that the seeds planted through the booklets will bear fruit even in the lives of these ones. We stand firm in gospel unity through gospel humility. It communicates something. It communicates our salvation to the outside world. But disunity rules, and there's constant infighting and pride. It communicates something different. It communicates that this gospel we talk about, this gospel of reconciliation, isn't real. Maybe isn't as important as we say it is. It directly hinders our gospel witness in the community and hinders our evangelism. It's important for us, to knock on doors and tell people about Jesus. Or we might say, do raw evangelism, where you say, hey, this is who Jesus is. We also need to practice gospel unity in our church. When or if we experience significant opposition, we can rejoice knowing that it was graciously given to us by God, just like our salvation was graciously given to us by God. So if the first 4 verses of our passage this morning are kind of like maybe a bird's eye view of the gospel scrum, as I say, how they interact within the church. Unity is obviously on his mind. In chapter 2, we're going to look at the internal gospel scrum. And it's hard to say that word scrum. But let's look at verses 1 to 4 of chapter 2. So if there is any encouragement in Christ, any comfort from love, any participation in the Spirit, any affection and sympathy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. What he's saying is, more than just warm fuzzies you might get when you think about the gospel and the message and details of it. It's far deeper than just a simple inspirational pep talk. Maybe like seeing an inspirational YouTube clip about exercise, and then you get jazzed about doing a workout routine, which certainly don't last, right? Or maybe like a rally song for your shift at work, like the Walmart fight song on YouTube, if you haven't seen that. It's far more like Jean Valjean in Les Mis. If you haven't seen it at Les Mis, you need to do that. But he experienced redemption, and he knew firsthand what it was like to be forgiven. He robbed somebody and then was redeemed by a bishop who forgave him and loved him and showed love to Christ to him, and it changed him. He experienced it firsthand, what it's like. As a believer, you don't just hear about the gospel message and it just kind of superficially inspires you to do good things or do good deeds, right? It's one thing for you to be, for somebody to tell you what it's like to be caught in a riptide of the ocean and then tell you that you have some kind of respect of nature. It's totally different if you experience that yourself. If you know what it's like to be in the ocean and to feel the power of it pulling you out from the shore. There are plenty of people right here in Palmyra who know all the facts, all the truths about the gospel, but it hasn't changed them. Their affections and motivations are not driven by the gospel or a love for Jesus. If you are trusting in Christ and what it means to be redeemed, then you are very aware of your own sinfulness and your need for a loving Savior. If you know what it means to come face to face with Jesus and the gospel, it transforms you into a different person. Your motivation to love others the way Christ loves us in the gospel is motivated by the gospel itself. Our union with Christ, as he says here in this passage, the comfort of his love, the fellowship with his Spirit, and the tenderness of Christ are all motivating us to be united. Unity is obviously an important thing for any organization to succeed, right? But the main reason unity is important for believers is because it's at the very heart of the gospel itself. Disunity betrays the gospel of Jesus Christ. Disunity says that my interests are the most important and yours are secondary. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the exact opposite. Jesus became nothing for you and for me. Jesus laid aside his interests so that rebels like you and like me can be reconciled. That's why church splits are just so insidious and destructive to the health of the church and its witness. It's anti-gospel. Unity and our expression of unity in the gospel is to be protected and prayed for. So what would a very practical expression of our gospel unity look like in our church here at FBC? What would a practical expression of our gospel unity look like in our church? A very good way for us to express that is found right here in our verses 3 to 4, right? Paul says this: do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. It's often said that, and I think it's helpful to repeat, that humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. We are often just simply thinking too highly of ourselves. A good question to ask, but maybe not too much, because it might lead to excessive introspection, but just simply ask ourselves, am I thinking too highly of myself in this situation? If there's opposition or drama or conflict, and more often than not, when you ask yourself that question, the answer is yes. Or at least every time I've asked myself that, it's been yes. And I'm thinking too highly of myself. I think I'm something when I'm probably nothing. I think my interests are better than the other person's. I think my agenda or my will or my desire is more important. John Stott has said that at every stage in the Christian's life, pride is our greatest enemy, and humility is our greatest friend. The apostle's meaning here is very clear, and the application of this command is nearly endless, right? The exhortation goes far beyond just simply maybe letting somebody have the last piece of pie to you tonight. It's one thing to let go of a delicious coconut cream pie. I understand the temptation or to hide it, right? It's one thing to let them have that pie and say, you know what, I love this pie, you can have it. It's one thing to do that. It's a totally different thing to let go of an entire day or maybe an entire week of your time for a brother or sister in the Lord that you may not even like or have disagreements with. The applications here are nearly endless. Prayerfully consider what they mean for us. When you're talking to somebody, do you dominate the conversation with things that you want to talk about? Do you ask questions about the other person and their interests? Children, do you think about your brother or sister as being more important than yourself? Do you consider your parents' interests before your own? For parents, is the gospel and the humiliation of Christ for you motivating you to serve your children and shepherd them well? Consistently shepherding your kids is extremely taxing and exhausting. The trenches of parenting are bloody. It's hard, I know. You buy lots of Band-Aids. That's a fact. They'll rip off 2 or 3 of them and demand you put on a 5th. There's only one drop of blood. It's hard. It's hard because it requires thinking of your children as more significant than yourself. If you think you are more significant than your kids, you will probably not have difficult conversations with them. You probably won't discipline them when you're tired. Or retirees. Retirement may not be about celebrating you and everything that you want to do, but rather an opportunity for you to serve your church or a brother or sister in the Lord. Humility is indeed a supernatural work of the Spirit in the lives of God's people. God is calling us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in us, both to will and to work His good pleasure. If you're looking for just one practical way to cultivate gospel humility, look for ways to serve others humbly and self-sacrificially. That would be difficult for you. Don't look for the easy one. Many of us are skilled in certain areas and can do those. But look for ways that are going to challenge you, that will be difficult for you, or might cost you something. Consider Christ. All He's done for you as you serve others in a similar humility. We might say, step out of your comfort zone, right? And do something for others, something that's hard. JFK was calling on all the citizens of mankind to live a certain way, as well as to propagate American interests, right? Freedom all over the world. In our passage, Paul is saying, as citizens of the kingdom of heaven, live your life in such a way as to promote gospel unity by way of gospel humility. We belong to a very different kingdom with a very different king. In the kingdom of man, in this kingdom, the citizens put themselves first and others second. But in the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, Christ's kingdom, the citizens put others first and themselves second. So let's live as citizens of that kingdom, a kingdom where its own king died for ungodly rebels. That's you and that's me. He became nothing for us. So let's become nothing for each other and grow in gospel unity together. Let's pray together. And as I pray, I ask the servant will suffer. Come on down. King Jesus, we know that we are between 2 kingdoms. You have transferred us from your kingdom You transfer us from the kingdom of man to your kingdom. We praise you and thank you so much for loving us, dying for us, giving us this gospel. This gospel does not belong to us. It's your gospel. It's your good news. We ask that you please be changing us to live lives as you tell us worthy of the gospel. Help us to set aside our interests for the interests of others so that they would be transformed to do the same. Lord Jesus, be doing all of that so that you're magnified, so that you're glorified in our church, and that our gospel unity through our gospel humility would be not propagating or promoting our interests, but yours, King Jesus, that your glory would spread, and your fame would be all over this globe. We pray this in your name.